The Galactic Survey Corps had designated Kepler 442c as a Class 9 death world, the highest classification on their danger scale. In 3 centuries of exploration, only 17 worlds had earned that designation. Most civilized species wouldn't even orbit such planets, let alone attempt colonization. Commander HFY of the Altarian Science Fleet studied the holographic display with 4 of his compound eyes while his mandibles clicked in nervous anticipation. The jungle planet rotated slowly before him, its emerald surface broken only by massive storm systems that could flatten cities. But it wasn't the weather that made Kepler 442c infamous throughout the galaxy. It was the jungle itself. "Sir," his communications officer chirped, "we're receiving a transmission from the surface." HFY's primary arms gestured dismissively. "Impossible. The last expedition was consumed by the planet 18 standard months ago. The hegemony lost 3,000 soldiers to that world. Nevertheless, sir, the signal is clear." "It appears to be human in origin." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew about humans, the bipedal mammals who had emerged from their own death world and somehow survived. They were the galaxy's newest spacefaring species, barely 2 centuries beyond their first crude rocket ships. Most established civilizations considered them a curiosity at best, a dangerous anomaly at worst. "Put it through," HFY commanded. Static crackled through the speakers before a distinctly human voice emerged, casual and relaxed. "This is Marcus Chen to any ships in orbit. Beautiful morning down here. Coffee's fresh if you want to stop by." HFY's translator implant struggled with several of the terms. "Coffee, stop by?" The creature spoke as if he were inviting friends to a social gathering, not broadcasting from the surface of a world that had devoured 3 separate military expeditions. "Human vessel," HFY transmitted back. "This is Commander HFY of the Altarian Science Fleet. Please state your situation. Are you in distress?" A laugh, an actual laugh, came through the speakers. "Distress? No, I'm good. Been here about 6 months now. Just finished expanding the cabin. You guys are welcome to visit, but fair warning. The trail's a bit tricky if you're not used to jungle hiking." 6 months. HFY felt his blood chill. The longest any sentient being had survived on Kepler 442c was 17 days, and that was a heavily armed Krillian strike team with full environmental suits and orbital support. "Human, this planet is classified as uninhabitable. The ecosystem is—" "Yeah, it's pretty wild down here," Marcus interrupted. "But once you learn the rhythms, it's not so bad. The acid rains only come during monsoon season, and the shadow panthers mostly hunt at night. Plus, the fruit trees are incredible. I've never tasted anything like them." HFY exchanged glances with his science officer, a scholarly Zentoran whose 7 brains were all focused intently on the conversation. Shadow panthers were apex predators that had torn through hegemony armor like tissue paper. The acid rains had dissolved their vehicles. The fruit was known to be lethally toxic to 97% of known species. "Request permission to send down a survey team," the science officer whispered. "Absolutely not," HFY replied. "I won't lose anyone else to that world." Marcus's voice crackled through again. "I'm getting some interesting readings on my scanner. You folks thinking about coming down? I should mention, the landing zones changed since the last visitors. I had to clear some new undergrowth. Big storm about 3 months back shifted the whole eastern approach. The last visitors, the hegemony expedition that had vanished completely. Their fate unknown until now." "Human Marcus," HFY said carefully. "What happened to the previous expedition?" A pause. "Oh, you mean the big guys with the energy weapons? Poor bastards landed right in the middle of a mating ground during bloom season. The spore wasps were just defending their territory. I tried to warn them, but they started shooting first." Spore wasps. HFY had read the briefings. Swarms of them had been responsible for wiping out the first expedition. Their stings carried paralytic toxins that shut down most nervous systems within minutes. "How did you survive the spore wasps?" the science officer asked, unable to contain his curiosity. "Trial and error, mostly," Marcus replied. "Turns out they're actually pretty chill if you don't threaten their nests. I wear some of the local flowers when I'm in their territory. Masks my scent. Also helps that I'm not stomping around in metal boots making a racket." The bridge crew processed this information in stunned silence. The human had not only survived the most dangerous predators on the planet, he had learned to coexist with them. "But surely," HFY pressed, "the other hazards, the toxic atmosphere." the unstable weather patterns, the carnivorous plants. Well, the air's got a high sulfur content, but nothing a good respirator can't handle for the first few weeks. Your body adapts. Weather's pretty predictable once you track the patterns. I've got a whole system worked out. As for the plants, most of them only attack if you stumble into their root systems. Just got to watch where you step. Watch where you step. As if navigating a death world was as simple as avoiding sidewalk cracks. Human Marcus, HFY said, his voice filled with something approaching awe. Do you understand that your species is the first to successfully establish a permanent presence on this world? Permanent's a strong word, Marcus chuckled. I'm just taking it one day at a time, though I'll admit it's growing on me. There's something peaceful about living somewhere that demands your complete attention. No room for distractions or half measures. Every choice matters. HFY looked around his bridge at his crew, beings from 7 different worlds, each with their own evolutionary advantages. Enhanced sensory organs, redundant biological systems, natural armor, telepathic abilities. Yet none of their species had even considered attempting what this lone human had accomplished. The offer stands if you want to visit, Marcus added. Just make sure you bring boots with good grip, and maybe some insect repellent. The mosquitoes here are about the size of your thumb, but they're mostly harmless. Just annoying. As the transmission ended, HFY stared at the green world spinning below them. Somewhere in that lethal jungle, a single human had built a cabin and called it home. Not conquered the world, not terraformed it, not bent it to his will through superior technology. He had simply learned to belong. The galaxy had dozens of species more advanced than humans, with longer histories and greater achievements. But as HFY watched Kepler 442c turn in the view screen, he began to understand why so many worlds were beginning to whisper about these strange mammals from Sol 3. They didn't just survive, they thrived. And perhaps most remarkably of all, they made it look easy.